The honourable member for St. Paul's.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member from Abitibi, James Bayou, for his reminder that we must always acknowledge that when we speak here in the House, that we are speaking on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin people. It is an honour to speak here on the eve of the release of the much-anticipated report of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It is important to reflect upon the broader intent of the apology which created it, to create healing, reconciliation, and build a renewed relationship on a foundation of trust and partnership. These aspirations were reflected in the words of the apology, but have sadly found absolutely no expression in the ongoing paternalistic policies of this government. After the Prime Minister stood in his House in 2008 and delivered the residential school apology on behalf of all Canadians, there was a groundswell of goodwill from Aboriginal people from coast to coast to coast. On that day, the Prime Minister did the right thing and should be credited for that important step towards reconciliation. But there was a disappointing lack of follow-up after that seminal milestone, but still a great deal of optimism when he promised to reset the relationship during the 2012 Crown First Nations gathering. Unfortunately and sadly, his actions and those of his government since that important symbolic gesture have failed to live up to the hopeful spirit of the apology. In fact, far from supporting the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in its important work, it was disappointing that the government has withheld crucial documents and actually fought the Commission in court to obstruct their progress. Further, I am saddened that the antagonistic approach of this government towards Aboriginal people and its refusal to deal with appalling gaps in outcomes and deplorable living conditions for far too many has further eroded the already fragile trust of Aboriginal people. Put simply, this government has damaged the honour of the Crown and squandered the tremendous opportunity of apology to foster more positive relationships with First Nations, Inuit and Métis communities. Canada needs a new nation-to-nation relationship with Aboriginal communities based on the spirit of partnership, respect and cooperation for mutual benefit. These were the principles at the core of our original relationship, reflected in the documents like the Royal Proclamation of 1763. It will be essential to educate and work with all Canadians to understand the truth about the historic and ongoing pain, achieve true reconciliation, and move towards a future based upon the realization of the original respectful and collaborative nation-to-nation partnership with all Aboriginal communities. Honouring and reinforcing the spirit and intent of that original relationship while recognizing and implementing the rights that flow from it not only are the responsibility of elected politicians, but of every Canadian. The apology means nothing if Canadians do not understand why it was necessary, and the devastating multi-generational impacts the colonization and specifically the residential school system have had on Aboriginal peoples. Tomorrow, the TRC report will be an important step in establishing the truth of what happened, but we must all commit to carry on the important work of reconciliation going forward. We thank the Commissioners Sinclair, Wilson, Littlechild for their painstaking and heart-wrenching work. The release of this report will represent another seminal opportunity for the Government of Canada to honour both the words and the spirit of the apology. Meaningful reconciliation will not come until we live up to our past promises and ensure the equality of opportunity necessary to create a prosperous shared future. It's time to rebuild our relationship with First Nations, Inuit and Métis in Canada on a foundation of inherent and treaty rights. It's important that we ensure that we have the healing for the survivors and their families and begin that process of reconciliation as a responsibility of all Canadians. It is rooted in the principles of the United Declaration for the Rights of Indigenous People. The Minister mentioned the stained glass window installed in the centre block as a poignant reminder of the true meaning of reconciliation, not only for members of Parliament, but for all Canadians. I believe that that will not be enough. May all MPs, as they enter this building, under artist Christy Belcour's beautiful stained glass window commemorating the 2008 apology, be reminded every day of each of our responsibilities to engage all Canadians in the essential work of reconciliation so Indigenous and non-Indigenous people in Canada can go forward in a good way. In the words of the Commission, for the children taken, for the parents left behind. In closing, I would like to thank the Minister for walking with us yesterday in the Walk for Reconciliation and for being there at the opening of the Commission hearings this morning. But I have to ask the Minister why he has chosen to make a statement of reconciliation before the Commission report is released. Canadians expect the Prime Minister of Canada to respond in a timely manner to the recommendations in that report with concrete action.
Here.